Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everyone. Today I want to start by highlighting some good news. Last night, Health Canada announced that it has authorized the first serological test for COVID-19 antibodies. This is a critical step for the work of the COVID-19 Immunity Task Force, which now has a safe and approved test that can detect antibodies specific to COVID-19 in an individual's blood. These tests will help us better understand immunity against the virus and how it spreads, so we can keep Canadians safe and healthy. Hier soir, Santé Canada a annoncé avoir autorisé un premier test sérologique pour les anticorps liés à la COVID-19. C'est une avancée cruciale pour le groupe de travail sur l'immunité face à la COVID-19 qui dispose maintenant d'un test sécuritaire et approuvé qui va permettre de détecter la présence d'anticorps spécifiques à la COVID-19 dans le sang des gens. C'est une étape importante pour mieux comprendre les mécanismes d'immunisation contre le virus et la façon dont il se propage. Ça va nous aider à assurer la santé et la sécurité des Canadiens. I now want to turn to what we're doing to help employers keep their employees. Over the past few weeks, our government has unveiled a number of measures to help businesses stay afloat during the crisis. We want to make sure that as many Canadians as possible can keep getting their paycheck now and have a job to come back to once the pandemic is behind us. Because that day will come, and when it does, Canada needs to be ready. Our government has been laying the groundwork for our economic recovery, and we know that key to our collective success is maintaining the connection between employer and employee. So, to help businesses of all sizes keep people on the payroll, we launched the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. We also introduced the Canada Emergency Business Account to support those struggling with cash flow. These measures are making a real difference in people's lives. So far, more than 500,000 small businesses have received a loan through the CEBA, and over 120,000 employers have been approved to receive the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy for almost 2 million workers. We also announced more targeted support for regional businesses, including those operating in the tourism sector and seasonal industries. We created a nearly $1 billion Regional Relief and Recovery Fund to ensure that they're also getting the support they need during this time. The funding will flow through the 6 regional development agencies, with a portion dedicated to the Community Futures Network to assist businesses in rural and remote regions. Today, we're releasing more details on how that money will be split between the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, Canada Economic Development for Quebec regions, FedDev Ontario, FedNor, Western Economic Diversification Canada, and CanNor. And here's the bottom line. These organizations understand the economic realities and specific challenges facing both your region and your business. They can help you with your most pressing needs, whether it's covering costs or keeping your employees. So if you're struggling but did not qualify for other programs like the wage subsidy or the emergency business account, give them a call. They're there for you. Il y a quelques semaines, on a créé le Fonds d'aide et de relance régional, qui dispose d'une enveloppe de près de 1 milliard de dollars pour aider les petits employeurs dans les régions rurales ou ceux qui œuvrent dans l'industrie du tourisme ou les industries saisonnières. Les fonds seront acheminés par l'entremise des 6 agences de développement régional. Une partie du financement sera également dédiée au réseau de développement des collectivités pour soutenir les entreprises dans les régions rurales et éloignées. Aujourd'hui, on donne plus de détails concernant la répartition des fonds entre les différentes régions et voici ce qu'il faut retenir. Que ce soit FedDev Ontario, DEC ou le réseau de développement des collectivités, ces entités comprennent les réalités économiques et les défis particuliers auxquels votre région et votre entreprise sont confrontés. Ils peuvent vous aider à répondre à vos besoins les plus urgents, que ce soit des problèmes de liquidité ou du mal à garder vos employés. Donc, donnez-leur un coup de fil, ils sont là pour vous. From the outset, our government has been focused on getting people the help they need as quickly as possible. We announced support not just for businesses and their employees, but for different groups of people who've been hit especially hard by the pandemic. A few weeks ago, we launched the Canada Emergency Student Benefit as part of our $9 billion plan to help young people get through the next few months. And today, I can confirm that students and recent graduates will be able to apply for this benefit starting Friday. To prepare for that, if you haven't already signed up for the My Account on the CRA website, it's worth doing this now to make the next steps go even quicker. J'ai aussi des nouvelles pour les étudiants et les nouveaux diplômés ce matin. À partir de vendredi, vous pourrez présenter une demande pour recevoir la prestation canadienne d'urgence pour les étudiants. Cette nouvelle prestation fait partie de notre plan de 9 milliards de dollars pour vous aider pendant la pandémie. À cause de la COVID-19, il n'y a pas autant de jobs pour les étudiants cet été. Et vous avez besoin de travailler pendant les prochains mois pour payer vos frais de scolarité ou vos dépenses quotidiennes pour l'année à venir. La prestation canadienne d'urgence pour les étudiants sera donc là pour vous aider. Vous pourrez présenter une demande à partir de vendredi, mais en attendant, ça vaut la peine de vous rendre sur le site de l'Agence du revenu pour vous inscrire à Mon dossier si ce n'est pas déjà fait. Ça va accélérer encore plus le processus. Je veux terminer ce matin en rappelant à tout le monde de continuer de suivre les recommandations des experts de santé publique. On entend beaucoup parler de la réouverture graduelle de l'économie ces jours-ci. Je sais qu'on a tous hâte, mais on doit demeurer vigilant. Donc, continuez de rester chez vous le plus possible et n'oubliez pas de garder vos distances lorsque vous sortez. Et ensemble, on va y arriver. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Premier ministre. On va commencer la période de questions par le téléphone aujourd'hui. Opérateur, première question.
Thank you. Merci. Première question, Michel Lamarche, TVA.
Monsieur Trudeau, vous parliez de la réouverture de l'économie, ça commence. Sur le masque de protection non médicale, est-ce que vous seriez prêt à émettre une consigne à la grandeur du pays, celle de porter ce masque quand on sort de la maison?
On voit très clairement que différentes régions font face à différentes réalités. L'île du Prince-Édouard, par exemple, fait face à une situation extrêmement différente de celle de l'Ontario. Nous devons de permettre aux autorités locales et provinciales d'établir les principes et les guides nécessaires pour leurs citoyens. Mais comme on sait, les meilleures façons de se protéger, c'est de rester chez nous le plus possible et si on doit sortir, garder une distance de 2 mètres en tout temps. Un masque, selon les experts, peut aider, mais ne doit pas remplacer toute mesure de distanciation sociale qu'on devrait prendre en priorité.
En suivi, Michel?
Oui, peut-être là-dessus, on vous a vu la semaine dernière lors de la cérémonie à Trenton. Vous gardiez vos distances, vous portiez le masque également. Pourquoi vous avez fait ça comme ça alors? Et je veux vous entendre sur la frontière. Est-ce que les Américains résistent au maintien des restrictions?
D'abord, pour la cérémonie à Trenton, c'était la demande des forces armées que tout le monde porte un masque en tout temps et c'est un consigne qu'on a tous suivi. Ensuite, pour les États-Unis, les conversations extrêmement constructives continuent avec l'administration américaine et je peux souligner que jusqu'à maintenant, ce partenariat et cette collaboration a été superbe et je ne vois aucune raison pourquoi elle ne continuerait pas à l'être. I can highlight that since the very beginning of this pandemic, the communications and the collaboration with our American partners has been exceptional. Conversations are ongoing all the time on a range of measures, including border measures. And I can tell you that up until now, the collaboration has been exceptional, and I see no reason for that to change.
Merci. Opérateur, prochaine question.
Thank you. Merci. Next question, David Lundgren. Reuters, line open.
Good morning, Prime Minister. On the border, we understand that the two sides are going to agree to keep the restrictions in place until June 21st. But what happens in future if you decide the border should be shut and the Americans decide it should be open? Will you go ahead and keep it shut even though your biggest trading partner is urging you to open up?
Right now, we're making decisions for right now. Obviously, there are reflections on what next steps could be and might be in different situations, in different progressions of COVID-19. But every step of the way in this unprecedented situation, we're reacting to and responding to the realities we see now, and that's where we will stay focused. We're focused on keeping Canadians safe every step of the way, and we'll take the necessary decisions at every different step.
As a follow-up?
Secondly, Norway's sovereign fund, which is the largest of its kind in the world, is blacklisting 4 Canadian oil sands firms. What's your reaction to this? And doesn't this suggest that the major oil sands producers have a lot more work to do for you to consider that they're aligning with federal climate goals?
We've seen investors around the world looking at the risks associated with climate change as an integral part of investment decisions they make. That is why it is so important for Canada to continue to move forward on fighting climate change and reduce our emissions in all sectors. And I can highlight that many companies in the energy sector have understood that the investment climate is shifting and there is a need for clear leadership and clear targets to reach on fighting climate change to draw on global capital.
Thank you. Operator, next question.
Thank you. Merci. Next question, Ryan Timilty, National Post. Line open.
Yeah, good morning, Prime Minister. Yesterday, the Toronto Transit Commission came out and painted sort of a really dire financial picture for the next couple of months, and it's dealing with the same sort of other transit agencies across the country are dealing with the same sort of financial picture. I'm wondering if you think the federal government will have a role in helping to deal with that, especially if it could mean big service cuts or potentially these transit systems not operating.
I think we recognize we're in a very, very difficult situation right now where we have asked Canadians to cease a massive part of the economic activity that keeps this country going. We've done this for the very important and clear reason of protecting Canadians' lives, because we know that protecting the health and safety of Canadians is necessary for us to move forward with a strong country economically or otherwise. That's why the decisions we've taken to keep Canadians safe need to come first. At the same time, we are looking at careful reopenings in gradual ways in different parts of the country, and the federal government will be there to support the provinces and other organizations and industries as we look to doing it the right way in a way that keeps Canadians safe. There are going to be a lot of very important and difficult decisions and delicate balances to strike over the coming weeks and months, and we will continue to be there to work with all partners to make sure that Canada is getting it right for Canadians.
As a follow-up, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir, but on transit systems specifically, like the Toronto Transit Commission, like OC Transpo, that are struggling with their revenues, do you think the federal government will play a role, or do you think that's a provincial responsibility?
Well, as we know, operation of transit systems is a provincial and municipal responsibility. As a federal government, however, we have made significant investments in upgrading and strengthening transit systems across the country, because we know it's such a key part of both prosperity and moving forward in ways that make life affordable and fighting climate change at the same time for Canadians. So we will be there to listen to concerns that Canadians are expressing and that different orders of governments are expressing on making sure that our reopening is successful. We know that public transit and getting people to work is going to be an important part of our economy moving forward, but we also know that the challenges posed by social distancing and much greater working from home has come and affected our transit system significantly. So we're going to have to adjust, and the federal government will be there to work with the provinces, including supporting them in their areas of jurisdiction in many cases. Okay. Nous savons que le transport collectif est important pour notre économie, va être important pour la relance, mais il y a des vrais défis au niveau de la distanciation sociale et du fait qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui travaillent de la maison maintenant, et donc nos systèmes de transport collectif ont moins de revenus. Nous allons être là pour appuyer les provinces et les municipalités si nécessaire, mais nous reconnaissons aussi que l'opération des systèmes de transport sont une responsabilité des provinces et non une responsabilité fédérale. Mais comme j'ai dit, on va être là pour aider parce qu'on a besoin que le Canada fasse sa réouverture de façon réussie, sécuritaire, mais quand même graduelle.
Merci. Opérateur, dernière question au téléphone.
Thank you. Merci. Prochaine question, Lina Dib, La Presse canadienne. À vous.
Oui, bonjour, M. Trudeau. J'aimerais ça qu'on revienne sur les CHSLD. Vous avez dit hier que vous êtes prêt à aider les provinces à relever les défis. Vous dites en même temps que vous n'allez pas piétiner les compétences des provinces en matière de santé. Alors, pouvez-vous m'expliquer, vous allez faire ça comment, relever ces défis-là? Est-ce qu'on parle simplement de transfert d'argent ou est-ce qu'on parle d'autre chose?
Comme je dis depuis le début, il y a certainement des conversations à avoir entre les différents paliers de gouvernement et entre Canadiens sur comment on s'assure que nos aînés sont dans une situation où ils ne sont pas extrêmement vulnérables comme ils le sont maintenant. Le fédéral sera là pour aider. C'est un engagement fédéral que d'avoir envoyé des forces armées pour aider dans les CHSLD, mais ça se fait dans le respect et dans le partenariat avec les provinces. Et on compte continuer de travailler ensemble avec les provinces dans un esprit positif de collaboration pour assurer qu'on est en train de faire les bonnes choses pour les Canadiens.
En suivi, Lina?
Oui, mais je suppose... Oui, merci. Mais je suppose que vous n'allez pas installer l'armée là sur du long terme. Alors, si on parle de solutions durables pour les CHSLD, vous pensez à quoi exactement à part envoyer plus d'argent? Et pouvez-vous m'expliquer pourquoi, étant donné que le problème, on le vit maintenant, l'appareil gouvernemental, le vôtre comme celui des provinces, ne peut pas se pencher là-dessus et régler le problème maintenant et ne pas attendre qu'on ait fini de compter les morts?
Mais, je pense que nous reconnaissons tous, Lina, qu'on est dans une situation extrême et urgente maintenant. Et nous devons de faire les choses nécessaires maintenant pour aider dans les CHSLD. Et c'est ce qu'on est en train de faire et c'est sur quoi on est en train de se concentrer. Mais effectivement, dans les mois et même les années à venir, nous allons devoir se pencher sur la situation de nos aînés à travers le pays et améliorer les systèmes qui les appuient. Le fédéral aura son rôle à jouer, mais nous allons le faire en collaboration et dans le respect des compétences des provinces.
Hi, Prime Minister Molly Thomas, CTV National News. In regard to the border, your chief medical officer yesterday said Americans pose a risk to us. So I wanted to know, when was the last time you talked to President Trump about the border, and what pressure is the U.S. putting on Canada to reopen?
I think every country recognizes that as we control our domestic situation, we are vulnerable to international travelers. Different countries are facing different challenges, and as we manage the spread of COVID-19, we will want to make sure that we're not becoming vulnerable from travelers arriving elsewhere. That's why we made strong moves to close our borders, including to American travelers at this time. As we move forward, we will continue to work with the administration, and I can highlight that the work with the American administration continues to be constructive and positive. I have spoken with President Trump a number of times over the past weeks, and our conversations have always been very positive. Je pense que nous reconnaissons tous qu'en même temps qu'on protège les Canadiens à l'intérieur du pays avec des mesures qui ralentissent l'expansion de la COVID-19, on demeure vulnérable à des cas de COVID-19 qui pourraient arriver de l'extérieur. Et c'est pour ça on est en train de limiter de façon extrême les déplacements à l'international, y compris des États-Unis. Nous continuons notre collaboration extrêmement positive avec l'administration américaine. Moi-même, j'ai parlé plusieurs fois au président Trump dans les dernières semaines et ces conversations ont toujours été extrêmement positives.
Prime Minister, if my math is right, this is exactly 2 months since you've started giving these updates. I know Canadians appreciate that. But for obvious reasons, we don't have a budget right now. The PBO says the deficit could reach $1 trillion by the end of the year. How much longer will Canadians have to wait to get a financial picture here of how much all of this is costing us?
I think Canadians rightly expect us to be focused on the immediate and getting things settled so that Canadians can actually feel safe and look at careful reopening. But at the same time, we have been transparent every step of the way about the investments we're making, and we will have, of course, we will continue to share with Canadians our outlook for the future. We recognize, however, that the situation is changing incredibly rapidly, and a budget is usually something that projects what's going to happen in the Canadian economy for the next 12 months. And right now we're having a lot of difficulty establishing with any certainty what's going to happen in the next 12 weeks. We will continue working on this. We will continue to be open and transparent with Canadians as much as possible, but we will stay focused on helping people in the immediate as we move towards a better future. Nous savons qu'on est dans une situation sans précédent où la donne est en train de changer extrêmement rapidement. Un budget, un énoncé économique normalement établit ce à quoi on pourrait s'attendre pour les prochains 12 mois. Et maintenant, c'est un grand défi de prédire ce qui pourrait se passer dans les prochaines 12 semaines. Donc, nous allons continuer d'être ouverts et transparents. Nous allons parler de nos prévisions et de nos attentes pour les mois à venir. Mais en même temps, on va rester concentré sur ce qu'on doit faire maintenant pour assurer que cet avenir soit le meilleur possible.
Good morning, Prime Minister. David Aiken, Global News. Just to come back to Molly's issue about the border, federal agencies have to plan to maintain the current U.S.-Canada border agencies. Municipalities on the border have to make some plans about this. Can you sort of give them some assurance today that the U.S.-Canada border restrictions will stay where they are until the end of June?
We are a good week away from the expiry of the current phase of our border restrictions with the United States. Conversations are ongoing, are constructive or productive. I won't make any announcements today, but I can say that things are going well, and we're confident about being able to continue to keep Canadians safe.
And to come back again on Molly's question about fiscal updates and budgets, when we went through this, the crisis in 08-09, we had multiple fiscal updates. We've had lots of years where we've had multiple budgets because of elections or whatever, and it's really hard to understand why you couldn't have a budget now and update that budget in 3 months or even a month if you needed to. Why not a budget, or at the very least a fiscal update with the promise to update it in a couple of months?
Again, we have been focused very much on responding to this unprecedented situation by getting money into the pockets of Canadians, of workers, of families who need it right across the country. Unlike previous recessions or economic downturns, this is a situation that has no antecedents. It is a completely outside health issue that has caused us to choose to cease a massive amount of economic activity in this country to keep Canadians safe. We continue to work every day on supporting Canadians. We continue to be absolutely transparent about the measures we're putting forward for Canadians, and we will continue to look for ways to keep people apprised on what we expect for the coming months. But as we say, things are changing extremely quickly, and we want to make sure we're putting our efforts where they are most useful, which is both sharing with Canadians everything we're doing as we're doing it, and staying focused on what we need to do right now.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star. This week, medical research institutes across the country will begin to lay off 10,000 to 15,000 people who work on health research because they can't get the support of the federal government. They don't qualify for your wage subsidy program. And that's going to have a cascade effect even on the COVID research that's happening because these research institutes provide the infrastructure that supports that. So can you explain to me why it's not a priority to keep those critical employees tethered to their employer?
On the contrary, Tonda, we have made significant investments in the hundreds of millions of dollars into science and research across Canada. We know that this is a crisis that is science-based. It's caused by a medical challenge of COVID-19, and we need to use science to get ourselves through this. That is why our investments in science, our investments in supporting graduate students, our investments in supporting research institutes have been significant. and will continue. So I will follow up and look into this issue you're bringing up, but our focus is on making sure that scientists get the support they need right across the country, and we will continue to do that.
Thank you.
Hi, Prime Minister. Tom Perry with CBC. Ontario says it's going to wrap up testing at long-term care facilities in the next couple of days. Quebec is nowhere near that. You're a Quebecer, you're a Quebec MP. Can I ask you, why do you think the province is having such a hard time with this? And is there anything more you can do to help?
The responsibility of the federal government is to support the provinces in delivering their plans for things like testing, for things like PPE, their plans for reopening. We are there to work with the provinces to ensure they have the equipment and the capabilities they need, whether it's been procuring swabs for testing kits around the country, whether it's moving forward on domestic production of the reagent necessary for producing results from those tests. The federal government has been extremely active, and we will continue to be there to respond to the provinces in their plans and their needs for more testing. It's something that we know is an essential part of how we move forward on a careful reopening. Le rôle du gouvernement fédéral, c'est d'être là pour appuyer les provinces dans leurs plans, que ce soit de fournir et procurer de l'équipement nécessaire pour faire ces tests de dépistage, que ce soit sur les produits chimiques qui sont nécessaires pour analyser les résultats. Le gouvernement fédéral a pris énormément de mesures pour être là, pour appuyer les provinces dans leurs plans. Mais les plans par rapport au dépistage sont déterminés par les provinces. Le gouvernement fédéral sera là pour appuyer et nous allons continuer de l'être.
Steve Chase, Globe and Mail. Mr. Prime Minister, your ambassador to China, Dominic Barton, told a group of Canadians last week that China, because of its conduct, is alienating foreign countries and injuring its goodwill abroad. As Mr. Barton put it in foreign policy jargon, China is accumulating negative soft power around the world. That is, it's undermining its international influence and the ability to persuade other countries to see things Beijing's way. Now, you hired Mr. Barton because of his expertise in China. So the question for you is, do you agree with his assessment?
I think it's clear that there are many questions for countries around the origins and behavior in early days on the COVID-19 situation, particularly questions for China that we've called on to need to be asked in the coming months so we can get answers. At the same time, we're seeing a global pandemic that requires a global coordinated response, and how countries are behaving now towards each other, supporting each other, moving forward in a difficult time is being noticed by everyone. And I think it's totally normal that we be asking questions about how different countries are behaving, including China. Okay. Depuis les débuts, nous savons qu'on va avoir des questions difficiles pour plusieurs pays, dont la Chine, sur les origines et le début de cette pandémie et comment c'est rendu à un niveau global. En même temps, nous savons qu'une pandémie globale exige des réponses globales et les différents pays doivent collaborer, doivent travailler ensemble pour passer à travers. Et évidemment, des pays qui ne se comportent pas de la meilleure façon vont recevoir des questions et vont avoir des conclusions faites à leur égard et c'est tout à fait normal.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Louis Blouin de Radio-Canada. Je voudrais poursuivre sur la Chine. Depuis ces dernières semaines, vous êtes très, très, très prudent à chaque fois qu'il vient le temps de parler de la Chine, quand il est le temps de commenter cette idée-là proposée par l'Australie de faire enquête, etc. Pourquoi cette prudence? Est-ce que vous craignez que ça puisse avoir des impacts sur notre approvisionnement médical? Est-ce que vous craignez de subir des représailles?
Ma responsabilité, maintenant et en tout temps, c'est d'assurer le bien-être, la sécurité des Canadiens. C'est ma grande priorité et dans cette pandémie, nous devons de travailler avec tout le monde pour obtenir l'équipement de protection nécessaire, pour obtenir les partenariats nécessaires pour pouvoir passer à travers. Oui, on va tous avoir des questions à répondre dans les mois à venir sur comment on s'est comporté depuis le début, et ça, quand on prend évidemment la Chine. Mais moi, ma responsabilité à chaque étape, c'est de m'assurer que je suis en train de faire tout ce qui est possible pour protéger et appuyer les Canadiens pendant cette crise et c'est ce que je vais faire. My responsibility, first and foremost as Prime Minister, is to look out for Canadians, to make sure we're keeping Canadians safe and healthy and whole as much as possible in good times and in times of crisis. That's why, even though, of course, we will have very strong questions to ask of many different countries through how this pandemic began and propagated around the world, my focus needs to be on ensuring that we're getting the support necessary for Canadians every step of the way, in terms of PPE, in terms of testing capacities, in terms of partnerships towards getting treatments and vaccines for this. My focus needs to be on keeping Canadians safe, and that's where it will stay.
Merci beaucoup. C'est ce qui m'a fait à la conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui.
Merci tout le monde.